Hospopreneurs. Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Hospopreneurs podcast. Awesome to have you guys back again, and today's episode is really exciting. We have a chat with Alex Adams from Secret Foodies, who tells us a lot about her experience in business, experiences in business and her journey, along with some resources and where she's heading. So hope you enjoy what's in store for you today. Cheers. Hey, Alex. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No worries at all. So this is Alex Adams, guys, also known as Ms Darlinghurst in the online world. And I was very interested in Alex, what she was doing, because I was particularly interested because I started working on something similar that I'll mention a little bit later. But Alex, can you please tell us a little about what you're building and how you're innovating in the hospitality industry?
Ooh, big questions. Okay, well, I guess I'm the founder of a company called Secret Foodies, and we do surprise dining experiences in Sydney, Melbourne, and Queensland. And I'm also the editor of a lifestyle website that's in Sydney, Melbourne called eatdrinkplay.com.
Cool. I actually haven't heard about the eatdrinkplay.com side of what you're working on. So I'd love for us to delve a little bit further into more of those things. I mean, I came across your profile on Instagram and we had a quick little chat, and I suppose now we're on a call, which is pretty crazy that these things happen so quickly. But
Power of social media, hey?
it's crazy. I really love that you're creating this exciting food experience through Secret Foodies, and that's sort of predominantly my reason for reaching out. But do you have a background in hospitality?
So, look, how long have we got? I can tell you the full story if you like of how I kind of wound up to be Ms Darlinghurst running
Yeah.
secret dinners.
As much as you want to go into.
Yeah, well, look, I'm originally a country girl, so I grew up in a place called Broken Hill, which is sort of outback New South Wales. And I moved to Sydney to start a journalism degree, and I've always been a massive foodie. So despite there being a very lack of great produce out in Broken Hill, there's not a plethora of restaurants. I didn't even know what Luxor was until I moved to Sydney.
What is Luxor? I don't know what Luxor is.
Are you serious?
No,
Luxor
I don't know.
soup?
No,
Oh my
I
God, you
don't.
haven't
Oh,
lived.
the soup. No, see, because I'm in Brisbane as well. We don't have a lot of this stuff up here. It's like the Broken Hill equivalent to Sydney.
Everyone's going to be hating you in Brisbane for
I
saying
know
that,
so many
right?
people are gonna hate me. I'm so sorry.
Well, look, next time we're in the same town, next time you're in Sydney, I'll take you out for a Luxor. But
Oh, that's LAK, is it? Yeah.
yeah, LA, yeah, Luxor, as in
Yeah.
the spicy soup.
I thought it was
Yeah,
Lux, like Lux, like Luxa. I was like, I've not heard of this.
Lux soup, maybe, or
I was
maybe
like,
that's a new
wow,
thing. I don't
we can
know.
make it a thing.
Yeah, Luxor soup. So, I moved here kind of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I was ready to do my journalism degree, but I guess what I left Broken Hill with was an
Mm.
appreciation for food through my mum. My mum is, she's Greek. She was born in Greece. She moved to Australia. She has Greek, I guess, Greek people, how they express their love is through food. So
Totally.
thankfully I played a lot of sport as a kid. Otherwise I would have been a real plump person. But we had chickens running around the backyard. We had organic biodynamic produce. We were really exposed to good quality food from an early age, and I brought that with me. So I was 18, moved to the big smoke. I did my journalism degree, ready to be a journo, and I couldn't get a job coming out of uni, like I guess a lot of people when they're a bit younger. So I wound up I kind of fell into sales and marketing, and I was sort of working in corporate world, and I was, wearing a suit to work every day. And I've described it before to friends as like my Zoolander moment where, he's staring into the puddle and he has this "who am I" kind of
Yeah.
experience.
Yep.
And I was 5 years in, wearing a suit to work every day. And I was just like, this is so isn't me. And so I decided to start writing again because I hadn't written in about 5 years. And what's my biggest passion? It's food, it's booze, it's Sydney, it's going out. So I started a little blog called Eat, Drink, Play with Ms Darlinghurst. So I was living in Darlinghurst at the time. That was my alias.
Love it.
And by day, I was Alex Adams wearing a suit, and by night, I was Ms Darlinghurst, running around, writing about the latest bars and restaurants and cool things that were happening around town.
Like a food vigilante.
Yeah, kind of like a little foodie ninja. And you got to go back You got to go back like 2009. There weren't that many blogs. I mean, there's a lot out there now, but it was
Mm,
kind of a bit of a different thing in Sydney, Australia at the time. So it started getting quite a good following, and people started writing and tweeting and commenting on the blog, and I guess the country girl in me was like, "Oh, this is really good, but wouldn't it be nice if we actually met up in real life and ate some food together, and then we can go and write about it online?" But I guess I was searching for ways to connect people offline.
mm-hmm,
And Brisbane's really friendly. Melbourne, they're real foodies, but I feel like Sydney can be really cliquey. And
mm,
it can be really hard to meet new people. So, with that in mind, and I guess inspired by guerrilla dining and pop up dining that I saw that was happening in sort of like London and New York,
mm-hmm,
I decided to host a secret dinner party.
mm.
And I invited 10 friends and I said, guys, you've got to bring one person I've never met before, bring 20, and then bring someone I've never met before. You'll get the text message 2 hours before with the location, with where you're going. The theme was Hong Kong nights.
So this
And
is before it's formalized. Yeah, so you've just sort of is that right? You've
this
just
is
sort of
my
had an
idea.
idea that you're
I had
like,
an idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
So it was 2010.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 25 at the time. I was like, I'm just going to try this thing. And it was awesome. Everyone came, had a really, really good time. 20 people. I was on the Friday night. I couldn't sleep all weekend. I was just like, I've got to do something about this. And so I went in on the Monday and I quit my job. I gave my 4 weeks notice and said, I'm out of here.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, cool. So it
And
started from
yeah.
there. So from the first one, you've obviously had so much interest that those people who loved it, what did you do next? Did you just say, did you invite those same people again to the next one, or what happened?
Well, I was 25 at the time, and I'd saved the deposit for a house or an apartment. And so I thought, you know what, I'm really young. I'll invest that money in a business, and I'll kind of just, I can always look to buy something later. So I did that, and I did a little bit of freelancing on the side. But essentially, then just started approaching different venues and building my networks. And my hospitality experience was pretty limited. So when I was at uni, I worked for Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be a brand manager on campus at my uni, and I used to throw parties. So I had a bit of events experience, and I'd also, worked behind the bars at Red Bull events and things like that. But it was mainly slinging vodka Red Bulls. So, I didn't have a cocktail background, and I wasn't a chef, and I
Did,
had limited experience in
but
hospo.
yeah, but did that I suppose working with Red Bull would have given you that exposure to the community anyway. Did you meet a lot of people in the industry doing that?
Look, I did, but it was a different type of people. So I was going from high energy kind of events to sophisticated dinner parties and dining experiences. So it was
Mm,
quite different. So I guess I didn't really pull upon my contacts. And, I just remember when I was going in there and I was talking to venues and chefs and restaurants about working with us. I was pitching myself really. I was like, take a punt on me and this idea, and
mm,
people did. And I remember there was a bit of a chain effect. Like I remember I did an event with Matt Kemp, who's a well-known chef, and he had a restaurant called Balzac, and he was like, yeah, that sounds really cool, I want to do it. And then one of his mates, Jared Ingersoll, he'd worked with him, and he said, oh, I want to do Secret Foodies now. And then Colin Fassnage from the Four in Hand, he was like, well, I want to do an event. And it was that flow on effect, and just a couple of people in the beginning giving me an opportunity to prove myself and show that I could, sell out these events, and you can get new people coming to your event. And then I can also support that on my then blog on Eat Drink Play. I can write about your venue and, get exposure. And then I'd proved myself, and then it started growing and growing, and those 20 people told 20 people, and it kind of snowballed. And I guess if we fast forward to today, that little blog is now a lifestyle website. We've got a team of 12 contributing writers who write for it across Sydney, Melbourne. We've got an editor in Melbourne, Joe. Secret Foodies, we're in Sydney. We launched in Melbourne. We're in Sunshine Coast. We're in Brisbane,
mm-hmm,
and we also do a lot of private events. So people come to us and say, "Hey, can you do anything from my birthday or hen's party for 20 people through to a client Christmas party for 200, 300 people in random locations?" So
mm.
it's been a wild journey over this last 7 years.
That's awesome. There was something there that you said that made me have a think about a question I've got for you a little bit later, but I'll sort of tie it in now. You mentioned there, so you've mentioned you've got a fair bit of marketing experience. Your background is in, marketing and particularly working with Red Bull in I suppose direct sales there. But a lot of what you've talked about here is ties in other elements of marketing, like potentially building, email databases, things like SEO. You mentioned the chefs
Yeah.
working for you as well. Like I had a look at your website and I love that you've got content for different chefs, because that's going to be awesome for your SEO as well. And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, having a background in marketing, is that like what sort of strategy have you been using to build the brand and gain traction?
Yeah, really good question. I guess I'm very passionate about amplifying an online experience with an offline and vice versa. So,
Mm,
anytime we do an offline experience, it has to have a huge online presence. And whether that be, we use online to sell out our events. So, that's
hmm
promoting on Instagram and Facebook, an email database of over 80,000 people. And then we do live coverage from social media. So, we'll do like a Facebook live video, we'll run an Instagram competition on the night, we'll be doing Facebook posts. And then afterwards, as you mentioned, we'll get recipes from the chefs that we'll share on our website. We'll do an interview with them. We'll get all those photos from our photographer and put them all over social media. And so it's very much taking an online experience, bringing it an offline experience and bringing it online.
mm,
And in terms of, what I learned, I mean, I worked a lot in sales and I dabbled in marketing, but a lot of it was self-taught. We're talking like 2009, 2010, Instagram wasn't even around. So a lot of what I've done has been self-learning. It's been, being naturally inquisitive and reading and getting my hands on everything I can, building an email database, not being afraid to ask people to collaborate on things. So every time we do a Secret Foodies event, we'll share out to our database of 80,000 people that's slowly built over the years about that venue, but then getting that venue to email their database about the event. So there's crossover, doing backlinks, yeah, working on your SEO.
hmm
But to be honest, a lot of it has been self-taught and just learning.
Love it. So sort of a lot of practical experience, and that's sort of taught you what you've needed to know.
Yeah, and a lot of
Yeah.
trial and error, knowing what works, knowing what
hmm
doesn't, and being on top of technology and particularly social media. I mean, when it comes to marketing, technology is moving so quickly and you've got to embrace it and you've got to get involved. Otherwise, I feel like you're going to get left behind. So I've always tried to be an early adopter of new technology and new social media platforms that come out.
And how have you been able to stay on top of those sorts of things and the sorts of information that you have to be on top of in this market?
Yeah, so I remember when I first started, I signed myself up to every like geeky thing I could go to. I went to every meetup group that was related to, there was this thing called DigiSits, and it was like digital people who'd go. And look, I would just be, running my little business, and there'd be people from agencies who were all in the know. I'd go to, different talks, different lectures. I'd subscribe to different YouTube seminars or whatever it was that was going on. Sign up to heaps of free newsletters from people in the industry who are often giving out tips. Yeah, just kind of doing that, which I
hmm
think in the hospitality industry, particularly for a business owner, whether you're a restaurant or you're a bar, don't discount the potential of attracting new customers that way.
Totally. I'm actually trying to build a model for the hospitality market because my background's sort of in well, my formal education's in finance, but then background's in marketing, business development, and then I've worked in hospitality. So I'm actually trying to build a model for business development in hospitality, and marketing is certainly a core component outside the actual venue development itself. So um,
Mm.
yeah, I love marketing myself. I'm very interested in it because it's all about how people work, how people think, and psychology, sociology, and all those very interesting things. But I mentioned a bit earlier that I started creating something similar that I called the Secret Soiree. I noticed one of your events is it's the something soiree. What was it called?
Yeah, right. Oh, you didn't tell me this.
I
Are
haven't
you a
told you this.
competitor?
No, 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 not at all. No. So what mine was about. So it was nothing, nothing really formalized yet. We hadn't even held anything more than one event. So it was all about having this creating this bar experience, right? So and so I guess they could coexist, right? But yours, I can feel is about a holistic dining experience. You know, it's about the food, it's about the drink, it's about the people, it's about the whole thing. So
Mm,
you know that and what spurred that idea on for me was the now amended lockout laws in Queensland, and
mm.
I suspected it to push people to be partying at home. But what motivated the surprise dining experience that Secret Foodies is all about?
Well, when Secret Foodies first started, Sydney was still in its heyday. You could go out and get a drink past
Mm,
1 o'clock.
that's right.
So it's, yeah, I mean, it's been quite fortuitous that people have become more foodie orientated. And also, the other thing is, I started my business in a down market. So the GFC had hit, people weren't spending as much money. My ticket price, like, was really, well, it was quite low. And it's, gradually grown over the years. And yeah, there were a lot more options of things for people to do. But I guess what motivated and what inspired it was just connecting people. So
Hmm.
connecting people in real life, and doing that through, as you said, a dining experience. So through great food, through great drinks, and just it doesn't even matter where you come from, what age you are. If you love dining and you love meeting new people, you will love Secret Foodies. And I just really liked that idea of bringing people together.
Awesome. Because I'm glad that you gave me that answer too. Because something I wanted to ask is exactly why, the why behind Secret Foodies and why you wanted to build it. So that makes it really clear for us. Thanks for that answer, Alex. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
The
and I am really passionate about, I think I'm in my element when I'm hosting people, and maybe that's a bit of my mother's influence. She was the queen of dinner parties, I guess. She would spend, we'd always have people around our house, and it was always an affair. And I guess that sort of came across to me. So I feel like I'm really in my element when I'm hosting people and bringing people together.
Beautiful. That's an awesome inspiration. I find our parents can be great inspirations for us to, learn and grow and do amazing things in the world. So so the next question I wanted to ask you was about with it's to do with the events themselves, and with the Secret Soiree when I was doing that. I'm not doing anything with that anymore. But one of the questions we had was if someone actually causes trouble. How do you monitor who's coming, and what if you want to ban someone?
Oh, a really good question. I've been so fortunate. In the last 7 years, we would have had, like thousands of people come through Secret Foodies,
Mm.
and I don't probably count on my hand, like maybe two or three that I've thought, oh, I don't want you to come back again. And they weren't even particularly terrible. Um, it was
Just the
just that,
worst of the best.
yeah, kind of like I've been really fortunate. And you know what? I think a couple things set the parameters. So first of all, we are putting people out of their comfort zone. This isn't for everyone. If you're the kind of person that needs to know exactly where you're going and what you're doing,
Mm.
then you don't want to go to Secret Foodie.
Hmm.
You're kind of on the back foot when you get there. You don't know what to expect. So there's none of that cocky ego of like, I'm awesome. It's like everyone's here in the same boat and here to experience something nice. At the beginning of the event, so I host Sydney, Melbourne, but in Queensland, I've also trained our brand manager up there to deliver the same sort of experience. But at the beginning, we always get up and welcome everybody and also set the tone for the experience. So I normally tell people the story, just similar to what I told you about how
Hmm.
Secret Foodies started, how it's about meeting people and connecting and having a really nice time. We set them a challenge of meeting at least one new person at the beginning.
Hmm.
And so we're kind of just, setting that overall tone of you're not here to get shit faced and cause fights. You're here to have a really nice time
Mm.
and appreciate the food and wine. At the end, we get the chef out who comes and talks to everyone about the meal.
Mm.
And that's kind of the tone of the evening. And we've had a few events where there's been lots of drinks going around, and we've had lots of people leaving very merry. But most of them, if they've had a few drinks, we've had it before. People are like, "Oh, sorry, we can't stay for dessert. We need to take ourselves home."
Yeah.
We've had that before, but fortunately, it's all been pretty lovely.
That's really good to hear. The thing that I really like about what you're doing is that it's providing this personalized, personalized in person experience that we really I feel we lack a little bit today, and we're moving into even more. I suppose, detached environment, this sort of culture of social media and everything's online and, on demand stuff. And it really brings that, like having that experience in person to connect with people, individually on a one-on-one basis and have human contact, I think is super important. And
Yeah.
that's really awesome that's what you're doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, the next thing that I wanted to mention there was about the chefs. So obviously you get the chefs that come out. I think that's a great thing that a lot of a lot of dining experiences we don't get. A lot of the chefs are sort of locked away in the kitchen, and I think that that's super important that people get to connect with their chef. Is everything actually cooked on site as well?
Yeah, so it depends. We do a mixture of in restaurant as well as random locations.
Hmm.
So we did an event on Thursday, nearly 200 people at a place called Acre Eatery, which is in Camperdown in Sydney. And so it's kind of like a little farm, and then there's a restaurant inside there. So we do in restaurants where we might do a takeover, and we'll get the chef to design a menu specifically to that theme.
Hmm.
And then we'll do other experiences where we might, bump in, like we did a Spanish gypsy party recently where we took over a warehouse and we bumped in everything and had caterers come in with giant paella stands and
That sounds like a
catering
lot of
and
fun.
and a
Yeah.
pop-up bar. So we do a mixture of both. I would say 80% of them are sort of in restaurants, takeovers, and 20% are completely random locations.
Right. Okay. Cool. When you were developing the idea, did you? So you seem obviously you sound incredibly independent. Like you love to do things on your own, and but also work with other people to bring that vision into reality to create it, bring it to fruition. Did you build everything on your own, or did you work with other people in partnership, or how did you go about doing that?
So I purely own Secret Foodies,
Hmm.
bankrolled the whole thing off my little deposit, as I mentioned.
Hmm.
And I ended up buying a house 2 years ago, an apartment 2 years ago. So it all kind of worked out in the end. But I've definitely, what can I say? Look, if I could have gone back to, 2009, 2010 when it all started, and there was
Mm.
someone that could have mentored me, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. But yeah, I think I was a little bit independent, and I did want to do things my way, although I wanted to collaborate with people. But yeah, the opportunity just didn't present itself where there was anyone there to partner with on the business or to mentor me, I guess. So I kind of just went it solo. But when it came to events and partnerships and whatever outside of the back end of the business, that's where I did all my collaborations. Yeah,
Mm.
does that
Did
make
you?
sense?
Yeah, yeah. Did you find it difficult without a mentor to navigate those sorts of difficult decisions?
Yeah, look, there's so many decisions I would have made. I probably would have made differently. I would have spent money better in other ways, I
Mm.
guess. But I always say to my friends, like, I've got mates who go and do MBAs, and they spend heaps of money and heaps of years doing MBAs. And I guess this has been almost an MBA for me. So
Mm.
it's been mastering the side of business and learning on the job and learning everything as I go. And what what's inspired me, I guess, in a kind of mentorship role is how other people run their business.
Mm.
So when I've worked with restaurants, it's like I've learned who are good operators and who I don't want to be like and who I do want to be like, and caterers and how they run their business, or wine suppliers, or wait staff, anything. I think I've had enough exposure that as I was going along, I was thinking, all right, well, I like how that person does that, but I don't like how that person does that, and that kind of shaped the business that I've created.
Mm. Okay, cool. But are they? Do you find that they're objective measures, or are they your subjective choices in? So you'd like a venue to look like this, or not be like this, or not be like this, or is it that you see those things and go, oh, look, that business can be doing better if they do this particular thing?
Yeah, I guess it's subjective. So I think more so it was, who are good operators, like who have little things. Because I hadn't worked as a waitress before, just even really simple things like sometimes we'll work with restaurants and you can see the ones who are good operators because they'll get their team together and they'll do a briefing a couple hours before and they'll talk through everything and then you'll see others who will dive in and haven't done a briefing and I'll be like, are you going to have a proper briefing session? Oh no, I'll be fine. We do this all the time. And then of course things happen that,
Mm,
you're not worrying. So in the beginning, that was me going, oh, okay, well, I don't know if it's right to have a briefing before service or not. So I won't say anything, but quickly I realized actually the events where we've had staff briefings before have killed it. The ones that we haven't
mm,
haven't done as well. So okay, now we do briefings. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's just learning on the job and tweaking as you go.
Cool. I suppose it's really interesting learning from all these people who've been doing it a while, whether to varying degrees of success. So being in your position, it would have been awesome to have that exposure without having to have worked in each venue. So I
Yeah,
think that that's
exactly.
super valuable. We mentioned the array of events you now have available, which is amazing. I would love to go to a few of these if I have the opportunity at some point. What's your creative process for coming up with new events?
Yeah, really good question again. In the beginning, it was gut feel. It was venues that I wanted to work with, that I'd either maybe dined at through Eat Drink Play, or I'd
Mm,
gone there and I'd experienced it, and then I'd you meet the owners, and if they had an interesting story, and then we'd work out together what our theme would be and how we would do something that's a little bit different. We've done anything from one time we did Lambathon, which was like a 7-course lamb degustation, which was promoting traditional cuts of the beast. We've done an event called Ocean, where it was all about sustainability,
mm.
ethical farming of seafood. Then we've done other things that are just for fun, like we did the spring soiree, which was like a black tie
Nearly
event.
swapped in the secret soiree in there. You
Yeah,
should
yeah.
call it the secret soiree. More than happy for you to use that one.
Thanks. And then yeah, so these days though, I kind of know, and also the other thing was we were doing, in recent years we've been doing a couple of months, so to be like, okay, maybe you have like 50 people who come to an event, and then, but what I found is we had a massive waiting list and people were missing out on tickets, and to do that whole creative, to come up with the idea, to do the get the visuals, do the creative, write the copy, put the tickets on sale, market it, advertise it, make sure that it sells out, do everything, to then have a sellout event and have a wait list. I was like, and then go straight on to another event that month and do the same process again was almost too much. So instead, what we've started doing is we're doing larger events and we're doing multiple nights. So, for
Mm,
instance, in Sydney next month, we're doing Christmas in July. And
mhm,
this is probably one of our only annual events. So we usually do different themes every time, but we do an annual Christmas in July.
mhm.
And Christmas in July this year, we're going to do 300 people, and we're going to do
Wow.
three sittings. So we'll
Yeah.
do Friday night, Saturday lunch, Saturday dinner. Same venue, same creative, same everything. We're not turning away people because everyone loves it. It's an awesome theme. Everyone gets to come and experience it. It's a win-win for everyone. So that's kind of, I guess, the creative process that we look at these days.
And are they venues that so everyone's having dinner at the same time, or are you turning tables?
No, it's everyone in the same time. It's one sitting. It'll be exclusive venue takeover, and everyone needs to feel like they're there and they're part of the same experience.
Cool. How do you actually create that for people? Create that experience that they're all there together beyond that initial briefing.
Interesting. We had that event that we had last Thursday in Sydney for 200 people, and I had a couple of people come up to me. People were like, "Oh, that was great," and I had a couple of people come up to me and say, "I am amazed at how intimate it felt, despite there being 200 people here."
Mm,
And I said, "Oh, that's really great feedback. What do you think made it?" And they were like, my welcome at the beginning. You're all here. You're all part of the same experience. Introduce yourself to one person you've never met. And also, when you take a seat, you've got the people in front of you, you've got people diagonally, you've got people either side of you. They're the people, you haven't met those people before. So it's an opportunity to have a nice intimate experience within a bigger experience with people that you haven't met before.
Mm, mm. When I love those experiences because when I see a bunch of strangers, I see it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to meet people one on one that you've never met before, and I think that that's what's really cool about these sorts of larger events where you look out, and you're like, wow, there are so many people that I don't know here. This is awesome. Um, so the my question before that one was about the creative process. So how do you develop ideas now? Are you asking the community, or are you brainstorming with team members, or how's that taking place now?
Yeah, so it comes down to a little bit of a schedule and just knowing what style of events sell well and what works well.
Hmm.
As well. Now we've got a bit of experience. So we will, and then it also comes down to venues. And, so I know coming into summer and spring, we'll do lighter sort of venues. So we'll do like spring garden themed sort of experiences. Whereas in winter, we're more likely to do like heavy rustic kind of style experiences.
Mm.
And then it also, yeah, so then it comes down to the venues that we want to work with, and what their vision, or what they're trying to communicate, I guess, about who they are and what they do. So we try and bring that to life as much as possible as well.
And
Um,
do you pick a venue for the event, or do you pick an event for a venue?
Oh, it's a bit of both, to be honest. And it's really hard to explain. I think a lot of it is my gut feel and
Mm.
what I think is going to sell. And I normally, if we come up with a theme, I normally float it around the office and say, what do you guys think? And then speak to some friends. What do you reckon? Would you buy tickets to that? And then if people say yes, we go it, we back it, and we see how we go. But over the years, I've learned there's some things that sell a lot better than others, and there's some things I'm like reluctant to do again, even if we have the perfect venue for it.
Mm. And so that in terms of that selling out process, how do you plug the event? Is it just through social media, and how do you make sure that it sells out?
Yeah, we have a big database across Sydney, Melbourne, and it's growing in Queensland. And yeah, social media is probably the main one. But like 48, I think it's 48% of our customers come through from word of mouth. So
Mm.
it is still people coming, having a good experience, telling five friends.
Yeah,
That's still our number one way that we attract new customers.
which is quite beautiful too, being in this age of internet virality. It's this that person as I and we've talked about throughout the episode. This in person experience. When you create that awesome in person experience for people, they want to tell other people about it. They're like, come along, I want to go this thing. I
Yeah.
went to this thing last time, Secret Foodies. You should definitely be there next time. Come with me. I'm getting a ticket. You should get one too.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. The next question I have is about we talked a bit about traction, but longer term, what's your objective with the Secret Foodies?
Oh, that is a really good question. Look, when I remember when I first started, I feel like there was a lot of I feel like there was a lot of pressure on young people. You look at like the Zuckerbergs and the big entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
and you think, oh, it's about starting a business and then selling it for a year later for millions of dollars. And
yeah.
I started realizing that. It didn't have to be this crazy thing that you designed to sell,
Hmm.
and it's kind of organically grown. And so Sydney, Melbourne, we launched in Queensland last year, and I think that's probably what we'll cap it at for now, for the next couple of years, at least. And then I feel like we've probably got an annual event in us, so we've probably got an annual Adelaide event, an annual Perth event, an annual Canberra event, and so on. But at the moment, these are the eastern seaboard is kind of what we're focusing on. And also a big side that consumers don't see is our private events. So companies coming to us and getting just to do their product launches, or getting us to
Mm.
do Christmas parties. And that's an events, I guess that's a little bit more traditional events company style business, to Secret Foodies, with Secret Foodies being our hero brand. Um, but yeah, I don't know, just continue to grow it, continue to get good people. People's probably, and anyone who works in hospo or runs a business will probably realize that people is your biggest challenge.
Hmm.
Finding people to run your business or work in your business that you can trust. I have a real problem with this that I need to work on. I'm a bit of a control freak and I love doing everything. And if I could
Hmm.
replicate myself 10 times over, that'd be amazing. But I've had to learn for my own sanity and for the growth of the business to trust other people.
Mm. The you mentioned there a little bit at the start there about sort of people have this idea that they have to build this perfect business, but obviously what you've done is you've been like, okay, I have these ideas, I'm just going to hit the ground running and create them. Is that the mentality people should be taking on, or would you recommend another approach?
Well, yeah, there's a bit of column A, column B. Column A is planning. I did not plan enough. I didn't write a proper business plan. I think I've tried to write a business plan about 15 times over the last 7 years, and I always just put myself to sleep. And I'm like, it's in my head. I know where we're going. But I think there is definitely planning that needs to go into it, which I probably need to do a bit more in the early stages of the business. But then column B is going for it. I remember when I started Secret Foodies, like a lot of people came up to me and went, "Oh, that's great! I thought about that idea." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, but you didn't do it, did you?"
That's
In
right.
the nicest possible way. But you didn't do it. I did it, and now I'm doing it. And I think that's one thing that people, if you've got a good idea, try it and then fail fast. Fail
Totally.
fast and try not to spend too much money while you're failing.
That's right. Because it's all a learning experience when you do, when you do fail. If you do fail, I mean, in all probability, it's likely to happen, especially with a first idea, first, second, third. Even the first 10 ideas. Um, I've failed. I've tried and failed many things. And that's taught me a lot of things as well, as I'm sure you have too. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome that what you're doing now is going well, and you've got a lot of traction, and things are looking positive, which is quite well, not just quite amazing, but very amazing. So what's been the most valuable resource for you on your journey?
Oh, a valuable resource.
Is it a book? Is it a person? Is it your mum being like, keep going? Is it could literally be anything.
My mum's hilarious. Like our newsletter goes out, as I mentioned, like 80,000 plus people, and she'll still send me emails. She's a teacher, and she'll send me emails going, "What's your punctuation? You spelt this wrong, or you did this," and I'll be like, "Oh, this is so embarrassing. It went out to so many people. Why didn't I sub that better?"
So
Good
she's your
resource.
copywriter.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I
Love it.
need to get her on the books. She's really
Yeah.
good. Um, I traditionally haven't been good at numbers. I'm almost a little bit borderline dyslexic when it comes to numbers. If people read out numbers to me, I sometimes muddle them up. And which isn't great if you're going to have a business, you need to be able to
Yeah,
do your
totally.
maths and balance your books. And what I quickly realized in the early stages was that I don't need to be great at everything,
Hmm.
and you can pay people to do things. So I have a good accountant and I have a good bookkeeper. In the beginning, I had my head in the sand a lot when it came to the books. I used to like fill out these spreadsheets and then I'd hand to a bookkeeper and she'd just do everything for me. And I didn't even want to know about it. I was like, just make it work. And then I ended up getting another bookkeeper and she was like, this is all double handling. You can just punch this all into the system yourself, and move me over to Xero, which is a great accounting system. I was using Sasu before, and
Hmm.
I
So what was the
started
first one?
I was using Sasu and I've
Uh-huh.
moved to Xero, and a lot of business owners would probably know about Xero.
Yeah.
And I use that for, all our bookkeeping and invoicing and everything like that. And I look back at it now and go, oh, there's years where I was just manually doing it because I just put my head in the sand and I didn't want to learn how to do that part of the business because I didn't like it and I wasn't good at it.
Mm.
So I think having some good online tools has been great, and also having a bookkeeper who was like, no, come on, you can do this, and spending some time to teach me. So that's been a really good resource. MailChimp is another good resource for me.
Hmm.
We do all of our EDMs via that. What other online tools could I not live without?
All your
Um,
SaaS stuff. So, software as a
Yeah.
service
Yeah,
things.
we use Salesforce, keep track of everything.
Yep.
Yeah, so look, they're all the online
What
resources.
But what taught you that what you needed to know about the industry, other than outside of your practical work, practical experience? Was there like, are there any books you'd recommend or anything like that?
Um, no, I
It's
feel like
okay
I
to
don't get
say
enough
no.
time to read. No,
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 that's
not
totally fine.
really.
Cool. Okay,
Mm,
so getting your hands dirty really and learning from what I've gathered from your experience.
yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, so my final question is, what's your long term, what's your personal goal? Like long term, what is it that you want to get to?
I guess long-term goal, and I don't really talk about it out loud, but they say you should say it out loud and it will happen.
Here we go. Let's
Um,
make it real.
Yeah. I about 4 years ago I went to NIDA and I started TV presenting, and I've
Hmm.
always been a good public speaker,
Mm.
and obviously hosting lots of events. I really love connecting with people that way. And since then, I've been doing a lot of presenting, so making online series and being featured in a number of different things. And I think, if we're casting out our dreams, whether it's necessarily my long term plan, but if I think it would be to have a show around food. So whether that be an online series about Secret Foodies maybe and behind the scenes, or whether it's just sharing people's stories to a wider reach that's more than just my reach and people who are coming to events, but yeah, more being a presenter and being online more.
Yeah, so it'll be like the Ask Gary V show for Ms Darlinghurst.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
cast it
love
out to
it.
the universe. Woo
Yes, love it. Um, well, that's awesome. So for our fine listeners, how can they get involved with the Secret Foodies?
Yes, so you can go to secretfoodies.com.au and you can sign up. Just put your nearest city, whether that's Sydney, Melbourne, Sunshine Coast, or Brisbane, and then you'll be on the list and we will email you when we have an upcoming event in your city. Otherwise, you can just go to secretfoodies.com.au and check out upcoming events and it will be on there.
Awesome. So there you go, guys, listening at home. Thank you very much, Alex, for being on the show. And it's been amazing having a chat with you and hearing a lot of your insights on what you've been building and where you're going with Secret Foodies and everything that you're working on. So, look, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed. And if you'd like to get in contact with me, my email is hospopreneurs@gmail.com. And you can follow the Instagram account for the podcast. That's at Hospopreneurs is the handle on Instagram. So thank you very much and look forward to speaking with you soon. Cheers.